Fallout 76 was released in November 2018 as the first online game in the Fallout franchise. Set in a post-apocalyptic West Virginia, it promised a vast open world, intriguing lore, and cooperative gameplay. However, its reception has been mixed at best, with criticisms often overshadowing its merits. The game departs from the series' single-player roots, embracing a multiplayer format that allows players to explore and survive together. This shift was ambitious but very problematic. The game initially suffered from numerous technical issues, including server instability, frequent crashes, and an abundance of bugs. While Bethesda has made efforts to address these problems through patches, the early impressions left many players very frustrated. The gameplay itself retains the familiar Fallout franchise mechanics of exploration, crafting, and combat. However, the absurd absence of NPCs at launch left the world feeling empty and devoid of the rich storytelling that fans such as myself had come to expect. The introductions of NPCs in the later updates improved the narrative depth, but the initial launch's failure lingered in the community's memory. In fact, I personally tried gifting this game to several friends since I really wanted a 4-man squad, and literally all of them were telling me how they've heard that this game really sucks and we shouldn't play it. I had to carefully explain to them that Fallout 76 today is very different from the game that was released back many years ago. Then again, I've also realized that this phenomenon of releasing an unplayable, unfinished mess and charging full price, then taking several years to fix it, is slowly becoming normal these days. The reason for that are pre-orders. I can't stress it enough, never pre-order anything when it comes to games, because they will never learn otherwise. When you pre-order, you guarantee a successful start in terms of sales. Even if a game is complete crap, you're essentially gambling on it. I love this franchise, don't get me wrong, but since I never pre-order, I had the option to find out how bad this game was and then wait several years for them to actually fix it before I give it a shot. And I also had the benefit of getting the game at the price of a cup of coffee because it's so late after release. If everyone acted like this, publishers and developers would think twice before doing it again, but I digress. The game uses the same engine as Fallout 4 did. It hasn't really aged that well, to be honest, but all things considered, I think the game looks quite nice when you crank up the details. The environments are still visually striking once you set it up right, with a diverse and beautifully rendered landscape. The world design captures the eerie, melancholic beauty of a post-nuclear America, filled with mutated creatures and remnants of a bygone era. Environmental storytelling is strong here, with locations telling stories through their designs and abandoned objects. However, the lack of human NPCs at launch made the world feel very static. The holotapes and written notes scattered throughout the environment provided some context and lore, but they couldn't replace the dynamic interactions and moral choices that NPCs bring to the experience. Luckily, this is no longer the case. There are lots of NPCs and most of them are human, although I have to admit that my favorite NPC in the game remains Rose the Raider robot. So she's not human herself, but she's the best. The multiplayer aspect of Fallout 76 is both its strength and weakness. Cooperative gameplay can be highly enjoyable, especially when tackling challenging enemies or building settlements with friends. The game's social features, including emotes and voice chat, facilitate teamwork and camaraderie. There is no written chat. If you want to communicate, you have to talk with your voice. This is an awesome feature, but sadly 90% of the players are introverts who do not want to talk to strangers and go so far as to immediately leave the server if someone talks to them. I mean it. I sometimes approach people and just greet them. They stop, they look at me, and if I say a few more things, they just disappear. Maybe some of you will tell me, no, that's not my experience. You're just an asshole. Nobody likes you. But I think that this is the case, at least that has been my experience. I love the implementation of public teams where you get a passive buff for playing in a group. This is great because you can join other players yet still do your own thing. There's no need to actually play together, but you can still share some emotes, some skill cards, etc. It has absolutely no downsides and still motivates people to join teams. Even if you have no friends who play this game at the moment, you can still feel like you're connected to others. And sometimes some people will join my team and they will teleport to me and just play with me. I would talk to them. They wouldn't talk back most of the times again, but it's still nice, you know. Sometimes people will want to play with you, and that's pretty cool. The community is generally quite friendly. My wife and I barely left Vault 76, which is literally the start of the game, and some veteran player immediately approached us, and we're talking within 20 minutes, and started giving us helpful items and tips. In addition to all of that, you also see other players' camps on the map. You can approach them, and you can use their crafting tables and other stuff they have there to help yourself. It's very social and very nice. On the downside, the game's PvP system was very poorly implemented at launch, leading to unbalanced encounters and griefing. Bethesda's subsequent updates, such as the introduction of a pacifist mode and changes to the PvP mechanics, have mitigated these issues to some extent. For me, PvP was never interesting in any way when it comes to this game, so being able to pretty much disable it entirely is a great thing. On the other side, I can imagine that there will be some people who will want to pretend to be raiders and attack other players. For those guys, this will kinda suck because there is next to no PvP in the game at the moment. Not that if there was any, it would have been fun. The difference in power between most players is massive. There are skill builds which are very overpowered, and some people who want to play the game like an MMO go for them. These people would be nearly unkillable in PvP, and I can pretty much assure you that any players who want to do PvP are going to go for exactly the most overpowered builds, and that is why it kinda ruined the game initially on release. On the other end, if you are like me and just want to experiment without doing any research for the best builds, etc., you will have tons of fun with Fallout 76. The reason for that is that you can level up infinitely. While you only gain special points until level 50, you still get skill cards afterwards. For those of you who have not played this game at all, let me explain it and simplify it a bit. Up until level 50, you unlock skill slots, but have a lot more skills available than the slots that you can unlock. This means that you can keep unlocking skills as you go on and switch things as you like in order to find what works best for you. Wanna be a stealthy melee guy? Go ahead. You got fed up with it? Respec and you are now a heavy gunner wearing a power armor. The game lets you go all out, and thanks to the many quests it offers, you can play it for a very long time. I've seen a guy who was over level 3000. He must have been playing the game for years. But there is one major issue here, and it's the weight system. Just like in previous games, you can no longer fast travel when you're overburdened, but here you are really encouraged to pick up everything, and I mean everything. You can disassemble stuff into all kinds of materials, and it's all useful for base building, weapon and armor crafting, as well as repairs and ammo production. The thing is, unlike the single player games, here you are overburdened a lot faster, but at first you will still be able to move relatively quickly. You just can't sprint and fast travel anymore. This sucks because fast traveling is extremely important in this world. Personally, I haven't been able to do it since the start because I am always overburdened. This is where the game's microtransactions come into play. If you are like me and refuse to spend real money for anything except the game itself, then you only have a limited storage box at your camp. Once that box is full, you're in trouble, and that happens really fast. So you will either never have too many materials at any point but will be able to fast travel, or you will always have lots of stuff like me but you will not be able to fast travel and therefore will have to run on foot, which is much slower due to the size of the map. This would not be so bad if there weren't any events to which you could teleport, and this, of course, if they give us some kind of a vehicle to drive. But the events, they are the most important thing because that's where the biggest baddest elites spawn, that's where the best gear drops. Walking over on foot is only possible if you happen to be close by when an event triggers, because you are otherwise too slow and the other players who teleported there will finish by the time you have reached the area so you can participate. This is the biggest criticism I have for Fallout 76 at the moment. That and its lack of proper ultra-wide support. Thank God the game supports mods and I have not been banned in any way for using them to fix the ultra-wide situation, because it works terribly otherwise. It just, if you want to play 32:9, forget it entirely. If you want to play 21:9, it's possible, but it looks bad. The menus are all stretched, it's just a mess. Bethesda's commitment to improving Fallout 76 post-launch is generally commendable. Significant updates like the Wastelanders, which introduced NPCs for the first time, and a more engaging main quest line, have substantially enhanced the game. Seasonal events, new content updates, and community-driven initiatives show that Bethesda listens to player feedback and strives to refine the experience. Despite these improvements, some players remain skeptical, feeling that the game's current state should have been its launch state. I'm one of them, by the way. Though this worked out for the best since I barely paid anything for the game at the end of the day, otherwise I would have had to pay full price. The initial release's rocky nature and subsequent negative press have left a lasting impact on the game's reputation, but then again the TV show seems to have brought a wave of new players into the game. In fact, my wife suggested we try the game after watching the show, and she has never liked Bethesda games before. Now she's kinda enjoying it, so kudos. That was a good move. Shows what good marketing is like. Fallout 76 is a testament to both the challenges and potential of evolving a beloved single-player franchise into a multiplayer experience. Its troubled launch, marred by the technical issues and a lack of engaging NPCs, cast a shadow that is long and wide. However, Bethesda's continued efforts to address these issues and expand the game's content demonstrate a commitment to the community. I would have preferred a single-player game designed just like the previous ones, where we have the option to bring other players into our story for co-op, but not an actual MMO, because I could have then modded the stupid storage problem and fixed the issue. I can't do that right now, that would be cheating. As things stand, I have to live with it. So should you play this game? Quite honestly, Fallout 76, as it is today, offers a very enjoyable and vibrant world to explore with tons of quests and great gameplay altogether. You can just start walking in some direction and explore the map like you would do in its predecessors or Skyrim, and while it's not quite as interactive with so many random events which literally come straight for you, it's still a lot of fun and rewarding. At the same time, the game's history serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of thorough testing and listening to player feedback before release, and I cannot emphasize that strongly enough. While it may never fully escape the stigma of its initial missteps, Fallout 76 today stands as a considerably improved and engaging entry in the Fallout series. So yeah, it's as good a time for you to get into it as any, especially since it's so super cheap these days. With that having been said, I want to thank you for watching Game Filter. I hope this review was informative and entertaining, and I would love to see you on the next one. If you would like to support me, please check out my Patreon. You can find the link in the description below. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Until then, have a great day. This is Nino signing out.